Okay. No, I had to get off my what do you call it? Soapbox about black rims. And people think that I'm just I don't like black rims on vintage bikes, or that I don't like black rims on modern bikes. I don't like black rims on anything, especially vintage bikes. But I just don't like black rims on anything. I don't. They don't show any detail. It's just that big black rubber tire on a black rim, and that's all you see. What do they look the worst on? A black car. But I don't like them on anything, especially on a vintage bike, though. So some people like them, I guess. It's just not my cup of tea. I talked to Scott Wallenberg the other day. He said the turnout for the race in Colorado was as big as some of the motocross the nations races that he's seen. Huge. The crowds are coming out in droves. There's no races in there. Should be crazy at Hangtown. Good evening, everyone. It's Joe Abadi, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you, Chelsea, Jordan, Susie, for helping me put the show together. And once again, thank you, the viewers at home who tune in every week to the show. Let's get down to the starting line, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what you're going to see tonight. Starting line is, of course, sponsored by Motion Pro. For your specialized tools, cables, and controls, be sure to visit Motion Pro online. In the next time try this segment, I've got a great tip for you on how to repair gouges and scrapes in those ignition covers and clutch covers. Really great little video. In the Moto Showcase, a 1983 Honda CR65 that was sent in to us by Rich Clark. Great little father and son project. Here's the problem. We've got 3 of them coming up, and one of them involves how to get stickers like that off of a plastic Yamaha tank. What's it worth? A YZ80, 1974 YZ80. We'll be taking a look at that. A very nicely restored bike. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please comment Motion Pro. Tonight's random share giveaway winner is going to receive a nice sticker sheet like this, compliments of Vinco. So keep sharing the show. Our YouTube channel is going really, really well. You can listen to all of our interviews from Vintage Motocross Radio, as well as listen to all the shows that we've done here on Vintage Motocross Q&A. So please subscribe, and when we're on live, you'll get an alert like that. You can tune in, watch the show right away, or if you can't catch it live, you can always catch it in reruns. And you know how the experts are watching Vintage Motocross Q&A? How the pros are doing it? They're sitting back on their couch and looking at on their HD TV. They got the big screen going, they're on their couch, and they're commenting over their phone, and that's how they're enjoying the show. And that's the way you could be doing it too, just like the experts. Vintage Motocross Q&A, still looking for questions and photos. We love to have bikes here featured in our Moto Showcase every week, and your questions are always welcome as well as your comments. So inbox me, or you can send me a message at any time. We're always interested in more bikes for the Moto Showcase, and of course, all your comments and questions as well. I want to thank our sponsors, Motion Pro, Vinco, Racer X, Preston Petty Products, Golan Industries, Sunrise Vapor Blasting. Thank you, Mark Ferriester, for this great shirt. Full Circle Racing and Northwest Mako CZ.
Tonight's Next Time Try This segment is brought to you by Vinco. Keep the ride going. On your old motocross bikes and off-road bikes, many times you can experience nicks, gouges in clutch covers and ignition covers. And sometimes just from oxidation in magnesium, you can get a lot of pitting and some unsightly things going on there. I've got a simple way for you to fix that. You can do it at home. You can use a product called JB Weld. It looks just like this. It's a two-part epoxy. You mix it together and you can cover up some of those scrapes and gouges. There are other products out there. I prefer JB Weld. It's very, very simple to use. And then you'll be able to fix any little nicks you have, like you see in this video, and you'll be able to get them repaired. The thing to remember is once you put your JB Weld on, put it on liberally, spread it out over a little bit more of the section than the actual damage is on, and let it dry overnight. Regardless of what it says on the label, that it dries in 2 hours or 3 hours, I find it's best that you let it dry overnight before you begin sanding it. In the video, you'll see how carefully I sand it, how I round the edge, and the results that you can get using JB Weld when you want to repair those damaged clutch covers. Always remember, take your time after you've let the JB Weld or whatever you're using dry. Take your time, put on a nice coat of prime, let that dry, and then you can hit it with whatever paint you're going to be using, and you'll get a nice repair just like this one. This is the actual cover that we used during that video. Once again, I want to thank Vinco for being a sponsor of this segment.
Vinco, keep the ride going. And here is the cover that we were working on there yesterday. It came out really good. The Moto Showcase is up next. Preston Petty Products is the sponsor. We'll be talking a little bit more about Preston Petty Products in just a moment. But right now, let's take a look at a bike that was sent to us by Rich Clark. It's a 1983 Honda CR60. And Rich writes to us that this was a father and son project that was turned out to be a lot of fun for him and his son, Drew. Drew was around 13 when they started to do this, and it was the most memorable project they've ever worked on together. They started out with a nice Honda CR60, and it was in fairly nice condition, but things kind of got a little out of control, and Drew and Rich really went to town on this thing. They bored out the cylinder to accept a KX65 piston. They used a custom-made gasket set from Comatech, and they did that to raise the deck height to accommodate for the KX piston. They put on a 24-millimeter carb, a mild port and polish job. They have a Gemco pipe on it. It's got modified CR80 triple clamps that accept the KX65 forks. It's got a hand-built prototype Coke bottle swing arm, modified, tuned, and shortened 11 3/4-inch Fox air shock was installed into that bike, and it took a lot of research and development for Rich to get that right. All the plastics are original. The bearings are fresh. It's got a modified KX65 carburetor on it, and it's got custom backgrounds. Great little project for Rich Clark and his son, Drew, and I want to thank Rich for sending in another bike. He has contributed bikes to the Moto Showcase before, and I got his address, and he's got a nice product or a nice gift coming to him, compliments of Preston Petty Products. Rich Clark, thanks once again for sending in a great bike. And speaking of Preston Petty Products, they've got these bundles going on over on their website. And here's another great one. They've got the front and rear fender and the MotoGP grips. Just $110.95. And if you purchase them separately, it'd be $129. So if you get over there, you could either get fenders and grips like this, or Paul's got some other specials going on as far as some fenders with the integrated lights in them, the number plates, and there's also combinations with fender kits and jerseys. There's a lot going on and a lot to see at Preston Petty Products, and there's some great specials that they have there as well. So be sure to visit them online at PrestonPettyProducts.com. They're also on Instagram and have an amazing website. Thank you, Preston Petty, for all you do for us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Here's the problem segment tonight, sponsored by Motion Pro. Let's get to the first question, Jordan. Dave Howard, is there anyone reproducing ID plates or stickers for the older bikes like Suzuki RM and TM models? Would that even be legal? Yeah, it is legal. And I guess, first of all, you're going to know that your bike is yours and where you purchased it, and you may have a title for it. I hope you do. Not all dirt bikes come with a title, but that doesn't mean you couldn't get these plates that are being reproduced. There's someone that is selling them on eBay right now. They look just like this, and they do make them for Suzuki's and the Honda models as well. Now, I saw the ones for the Suzuki's where they just stick onto the frame, but they make them for the Honda, which is like a very, very thin aluminum sheet but they're stamped, and if you give them the numbers and you have the title, especially, would be a real big help. You can have a tag made just like that. Makes your bike look real authentic, and yes, it is legal. I don't know why it wouldn't be if the bike really belonged to you. If the bike didn't belong to you, well, then you've got a bigger problem. But thanks for the question, Dave Howard. Craig Benke, I'm replacing the pistons in my 279 Hondas, a CR125 and a CR250. I'm seeing cast and forged pistons and was wondering what the real difference is in those pistons. Okay, a cast piston is made, or let's go back a second, where it's a forged piston. Forged piston is made in a machine like this, where you take a solid piece of billet, they put it in a machine like this in a press. Press comes down and presses that solid billet aluminum into the shape of the piston. After that, it's taken out of there and it goes through a process to where it's then machined, and things like if there are pockets, if it's a 4-stroke, like you see on the right here, it's all going to be CNC machined down to spec. Now, on the left here is what is done during a casting process, where the aluminum is melted and it's poured into a mold just like that, and it comes out, and you have a piston. The same process is done after the piston is cast, to where it is put into a machine like that, a CNC machine, and it is all machined down to the specs, and it's going to be very close to what, it's going to be exactly what you need. Now, a forged piston is much stronger than a cast piston. I'll give you an example of that. You can think of a piece of plywood, a full sheet of plywood, and then you have something called stringboard, or OSB. They're both strong, they're both solid, they're both pretty much the same size, but one, the molecular structure is going to be completely different because it's all different pieces glued together, made it into a piece of stringboard. The other one is a solid piece of wood that came out of a tree. It's very similar to the forging and casting process. Okay. Something else to keep in mind is if you are going to use, whether it's a cast or a forged piston, make sure you follow the manufacturer's instructions about the clearance. Okay. The clearance of a cast piston is not going to be the same as the clearance of a forged piston. It's probably going to be a little bit more, because there's going to be a little bit more expansion in the cast piston than you are going to have in the forged piston. So forged piston might be a little bit more expensive. It is a better piece, but when your manufacturers were making bikes, all the pistons at that time were pretty much forged. So Weisco and some other manufacturers right now are only making cast pistons. Just follow their instructions when you go to do to have your bike bored, or whether they're relining the cylinder. Make sure you get the clearance right. Don't follow the instruction sheet of the clearance of a cast piston when you're putting a forged piston in your bike. Great question, Craig. Hope you enjoyed the answer. Gus Callas, I'm having a difficult time removing the stickers of a plastic YZ tank. I don't want to scrape it or use a heat gun to risk the damage. Do you have any advice? Yes, I do, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because on these original tanks, they came on with such a glue, with such adhesion, it really, really is difficult to get off. And as they get older and they dry out, it becomes even more difficult to get off. And no, you don't want to run a razor across there, and you really don't want to get too close to it with a heat gun, because if you get too close to it, you can have some problems with the plastic as well. What I would recommend is a product that I'm going to pop up right here. There it is, Citrus Strip. This is a paint stripper, but it's probably one of the weakest paint strippers in the world, but it absolutely works perfectly on decals and stickers like this that are on plastic tanks. There's no harmful fumes. It takes it right off. It works really, really well. And it's got a pretty good scent to it too. It's not going to put off some offensive odor in your shop. But try that, Citrus Strip. Yell about your Home Goods, Home Depot, Lowe's, places like that. That'll take it off.
Hi, I'm Warren Reed. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back.
Hi, Jeff here, introducing you to Motion Pro's magnetic pickup tool today. Now, we've all had that bad experience where we drop a loose part or fastener into a hard to reach place like a skid plate or belly pan. Well, this is the right tool for the job that will retrieve that stubborn part and get you back to working on your ride. As for the features of the magnetic pickup tool, first you have this billet aluminum handle. There's a low profile magnetic tip that's extremely strong and in fact will even pick up a Motion Pro T handle. This flexible shaft can get into hard to reach places, and with its protective coating, won't damage the finish on your motorcycle. The magnetic pickup tool is affordably priced at $14.99 and is available from your favorite power sports dealer nationwide. So avoid future frustration and pick one up for yourself today.
The What's the Word segment tonight is, of course, sponsored by Full Circle Racing Limited. We'll be telling you a little bit more about Full Circle in just a moment. But right now, we're going to find out what it's worth. And this is, of course, the segment of the show where you get to put in your guess of how much this bike sold for. It did sell on eBay just a couple of weeks ago. It was in Idaho. I'm going to read you a short but informative description that the seller had put together. This is a 74 YZ80A. It's the first year of the YZ80. It has a 5-speed transmission. It's completely restored, all new engine parts, all new Yamaha standard piston and ring. You can show it or ride it or put it in your museum. I happen to find this bike to be done very, very nicely. I looked at the rims. They were polished. They were re-anodized. I also like the fact that he did go through all the hardware on the bike, and nothing's over polished. He's got the correct petcock on the bike. The paint looked really nice, the handlebars, the grips, and as you can see in that picture, the plating is done beautifully overall on this motorcycle. And it sold on eBay for how much? $2,500? $6,500. This bike sold for $5,000. $5,000, 1974 YZ80. I was wondering who got closest with that $5,000 number, but it is an exceptional little bike. And for $5,000, we all see what the XR75s and a lot of the minis are going for these days. And I doubt very much you could purchase this bike plus the parts, plus your parts and outside services, and get this project completed for $5,000. I thought it was a good deal and a quality finish, that's for sure. $5,000. The Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide page is alive and kicking on Facebook. It's over 6 years on Facebook now, has over 16,000 members, and it's a great way for you to find out the value of your bike or a bike you may be wanting to purchase. So go there, post some pictures of the bike you want to buy or sell, and you'll get some comments from some of the members there. And don't forget, there's thousands of pictures of results from auctions, from eBay, from Mecum, from private sales as well that you can compare your bike to. And it's not a place to sell. It's not a place to buy. It's a place where prices are discussed on the value of your bike. And there's a lot of good information there too. So please join us at the Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide page. Full Circle Racing, still powder coating hubs. They got that great special still going on. $50 a hub, $10 more if you want to do the backing plate too. If you want a custom color for just $20 more, it's a one-time fee. But right now you can get either gloss black or a matte black or satin black finish for just $50 a hub. It's a great way to get started if you're rebuilding your wheels. Get the bearings changed, have the hub sent up to Tom McAllister. He'll get them powder coated for you. And if you want, he can relace them, true them, and get you some new hoops. But for just the hubs, just for $50, it's a really, really great value. And I want to thank Tom McAllister for all he does for us here on the show. You ever heard of? This segment is brought to you by Sunrise Vapor Blasting. I'm wearing the shirt tonight. I want to thank my friend Mark Ferrister for sending me the shirt and for being a great sponsor for the show. A lot of people are enjoying what he does there. Have you ever heard of? You ever heard of an MZ? This is a real interesting story, not only because of the MZ motorcycle, but I'm going to read to you some details here. And I think you're going to really, really like this. The Zhopao Works was one of the oldest motorcycle manufacturers in the world. They started in 1906, and they started building motorcycles in 1922. They were the first company to develop a two-stroke engine for vehicles, and were the leader in two-stroke development worldwide. Rasmussen had begun a production name under the letters DKW, which I'm sure you're all very, very familiar with. Now, when there was a world economic crisis in 1929, DKW founded the Auto Union, which today is known as Audi AG. In the 1950s, MZ was the world leader in two-stroke engines, especially through their works engineering department and their department leader, Walter Kaden, K-A-A-D-E-N, Walter Kaden. Their engines became nearly unbeatable. In 1961, they nearly won the world championship in the 125cc class against Oshiro Honda's four-strokes. This is where it really gets interesting. The factory championship was lost, though, and one of the biggest spy scandals in motorcycle history. The factory rider, Ernst Degner, fled from East Germany and brought his knowledge over to Suzuki. Walter Caden's secret was stolen. What was the secret? He had developed the two-stroke exhaust pipe known as the expansion chamber. In 1962, with his stolen knowledge that he had brought over to Suzuki, they won the first world title for a Japanese manufacturer. And MZ was a force to be reckoned with in the international 6-day trials, too. They were the winners from 63 to 67. They won again in 1969. But Walter Caden's idea was stolen and brought over to Suzuki. I thought that was a really great story and a very, very interesting bike, the MZ. If anybody ever asked me if you heard of an MZ, you could say, yeah. So over at Vintage Motocross Q&A with Joe Buddy. Sunrise vapor blasting. What a great, great service Mark Farrier is performing. And whether it's for boats, cars, or motorcycles, or maybe you have some other trinket that is made of aluminum or any kind of metal, send it over to Mark. He'll put it in his tank just like this, and it comes out absolutely pristine and does not change the profile of the metal. If anything on that carburetor you're sending him or anything else has some other fittings, brass or copper pressed in, they come out absolutely perfectly, just like you see it right here in the picture. Right here in the video, and you don't have to worry about sand or glass bead or any kind of slurry getting caught up in those ports or anything else. This is an absolutely amazing service, fairly priced. Mark Farrier is doing a great job. He's in Modesto, California. You can find him on Facebook, and you'll get a piece back just like that, whether it's for your car, boat, motorcycle, whatever it might be for. Check out Sunrise Vapor Blasting. We're going to take a commercial break. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, don't forget, comment Motion Pro. A random share giveaway is coming up when we get back.
Classic and vintage dirt bikes are more than a hobby. It's not just about the ride. It's about the work that goes in. The work that keeps you connected to the ride. It's about bringing the bike back to life and doing it with your own hands. It's about the adrenaline and adventure. And when it comes to putting all the pieces together, only Vinco knows the bikes and parts the way you do. Vinco. Keep the ride going.
And as promised, tonight's random share giveaway winner is Ed Tucker. Ed Tucker. Send me a message, give me your address. You've won yourself a nice sticker sheet, compliment of Vinco. Ed Tucker, you're tonight's random share giveaway winner. What do we got next, Jordan? Oh, This Week in MX History, sponsored by Racer X. Racer X, what a great magazine. I get mine every month, and I look forward to it. It's on your newsstand now, and it's also available online. Don't forget to see our ad in the back of Racer X. This Week in Motocross History, it's 5 out of 6 for Garrett Walsink. For the 5th time in 6 years, Garrett Walsink won the 500 USGP in Carlsbad. Walsink, the overshadowed teammate of 5-time world champion Roger DeCoster, somehow mastered the hard-packed, slick, rough, and treacherous Carlsbad track, despite coming from a background of racing that was in the Netherlands, where tracks are mostly sand. Walsink was also studying to become a dentist, won a total of 12 Grand Prix events in his entire career, 5 of which came on ABC's Wide World of Sports at the USGP. 1985, it no longer exists at the 125 Grand Prix in Yugoslavia, a country that no longer exists. Italy's Corrado Matti raced a Cagiva, a motorcycle that no longer exists, and took the overall win. Finishing second was 16-year-old Honda rider Davy Stribos and Finland's Pekka Vekonen, also on a Cagiva, and the eventual 85 125cc world champion, finishing third. Vekonen was the world champion that year in 85. 1991, Stefan Everts, the first of 10 in Genk, Belgium. Stefan Everts, the Suzuki rider, won in his home country while he was on his way to his first of 10 world championships. Everts went 2-1 to finish First that day, a French rider, not French friar, Yves de Maria, Everest title combatants Bobby Moore and Pedro Tractor, each do well in Moto 1, but they DNF'd in the second Moto. And defending 125cc world champion Donnie Schmidt was out after getting hurt in Yugoslavia the previous week. So it was a big week on a big run that was about to begin for Stefan Everts, who was a 10-time world champion. The announcements tonight are brought to you by Golan Products. First announcement is, Jordan. Oh, we're going to talk about Golan Products here for a second. You've been hearing me talk about Golan Products filters for a couple of weeks now. It's absolutely amazing. It's just about, well, it could be cleaned indefinitely, which is great. It's made of billet aluminum. You can take it apart and clean it at any time. Comes in blue, orange, silver, and of course, red. Now, the great thing is that Golan Products is looking for distributors throughout North America, Mexico, of course, Canada, which is North America, but throughout the world. They've got some distributors in Europe, and it's really, really selling very, very well. So get a hold of Golan Products. You can get a hold of them at golanpro@yahoo.com. And they can set you up to become a distributor, a dealer. If you're out there on the road representing other products, this would be a great thing to have in your kit when you're out there talking to your dealer. So get a hold of Golan Products. And I want to thank Elon Golan for being a sponsor of this segment. VMX Radio, we've got an excerpt, I think, from this week's interview, which was with Lane Levitt. Let's get a listen to that, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about what's going on at Vintage Motocross Radio.
As many of us got our start on the little Hodakas and stuff like that, we were out in the dirt and wanting to race either Scrambles or Motocross, but your direction headed toward trials riding, which is kind of interesting. So when did that come about?
Well, I went to the Santa Cruz Trans Am. That must have been, 68?
Okay.
And we were all just so excited about it. We were blown away. And then I saw Joel Robert and Marcel Wirtz riding a Sherpa T up in the trees after the trial. And obviously I wanted to be a motocross rider, but I wasn't 18 yet. My parents wouldn't sign the release for me to race motocross. So I figured I'll ride trials because I didn't have to, they didn't have to do a parental release for trials riding. And then I'll go motocross after I've, when I turn of age. And I just never went to motocross. The trials thing worked for me. Yeah. And I actually was going to quit riding trials. I was at my practice area and a piece of wire wrapped around my front axle and my foot peg threw me over the handlebars, and I whacked my knee really hard. And I said, that's it. I've gone as far as I can go with motorcycling. I'm going to go sports car racing.
Interview with Lane Levitt last week. He also talked about being a stuntman, working with Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and a few more celebrities on hundreds of films that he's worked on. If you get a moment, go listen to the Lane Levitt interview. Coming up real soon, Gene Woods, a very accomplished speedway rider, also the owner of the Gene Woods Racing Experience out in Las Vegas. We're going to have Gene Woods on the show in just a couple of weeks. And I've also been talking to Nancy Payne. Nancy Payne is going to be a guest of ours coming up in the near future too. And there's a couple of others that I've been talking to, and we'll keep you informed. Check back with Vintage Motocross Radio, and you'll find out who some of our guests are going to be in the near future. Davey Taylor, if you're familiar with the old DG days, Davey Taylor was one of the greats of Southern California, won so many races, and I tried to put together something that would be fitting to honor Davey Taylor because he did pass just a few days ago. It was tough for me to put something together, so I went to Harry Clem's page. Harry Clem, of course, one of the old guys from the old DG days, and this is what Harry had to say about Davey Taylor. SoCal racer Davey Taylor was much more than just fast. During my days at DG, Dave had a versatility to ride any type of bike, a Husky, a YZ, a TM. He did it with such talent. He made it look great. And he won races. While many other racers were had a very strong financial background, and a lot of their families supported them, Davey was out there on his own, and his raw talent and focus just inspired so many people in the racing industry, me included, says Harry Clem, that we couldn't help but try to advance his career. Dave was easily the fastest MX pro that I had ever worked with that never actually got a factory contract. It was a sad misfortune that he had peaked at one point where it seemed that every factory was full with factory riders. And he even went on, Harry Clem did, to help Dave Taylor get into riding quads. And Dave Taylor also helped Gary Denton. And Gary Denton, who was very close to Davey Taylor, had a very successful career riding quads. And Harry says that Davey was absolutely the most useful and talented rider he has ever had. It's easy to find fast guys, but it's very difficult to find guys who are fast and can report back what's good and what's bad about the bike. Davey Taylor, rest in peace. Our condolences to the Taylor family. And we were very sorry to hear about Davey Taylor's passing. I don't really know the details of what happened. And if I hear something, I'll let you know. But right now, we're saddened. The Old School Scrambles is back at Glen Helen on the truck track. It's coming up again June 26th from 10 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. It is an ARMA Southwest Regional Kids Ride for Free, thanks to Rod Lake Racing. So there's one coming up, there's a practice on June 26th, then there's a race on June 27th. That's a TT Scrambles, and that's round 4 at the Glen Helen track. Old School Scrambles Racing Group, Tammy and Ralph Greenhill, great people. The 36th annual Dinosaur Daze is about to happen this weekend, June 12th and 13th. That is at Southbound Motorsports. It is a vintage race. It's in Riverdale Raceway. It's on Lake Highway out in Washington, where there was a vintage race just a couple of weeks ago. So you might want to get out there. There's Vintage Motocross Evo. There's a Revolution class and Evolution class. There's the Buck Murphy Memorial Race, and just a lot going on up there at Dino Daze. That's this weekend. It's never too early to get ready to go to the Field of Dreams. That's October 15th, 16th, and 17th. That is down in southern New Jersey. It's a great track. I've been there. My grandsons ride there. I have a lot of friends who ride there too. So this is a really great event because it's a combination of people putting it together with ARMA, with American Classic Racing, and of course the people at the Field of Dreams. It's going to be a 3-day event. There's going to be practice. There's going to be Saturday races. Sunday there's going to be a GP-style motocross, followed by an open practice after that. So it's not too early to make your plans to get down to the Field of Dreams in October. The finish line is sponsored by Northwest Mako CZ. What's happening at the finish line, Jordan? You want to remember to tell them about their special first? I'll do that. Northwest Mako CZ has got a seat base for your 72 through 76 Makos, and also the 77 through 80, 2 different seat bases, but they're just $55. Go over and check out their website online at Northwest Mako CZ. Got a wonderful website with a lot of different products in it, not just for Makos and CZs, but for some other things as well. And just a wonderful, really great, well-rounded website that Alan Brown has put together. It has a little something for everybody in there, and a lot of the products are very reasonably priced. Go check it out. Vintage Motocross Q&A t-shirts and hoodies are still available. Be sure to follow the description and the link of the shows. In the description of the shows, follow the link. You can get a t-shirt for just $19.99 for a few bucks more. You can get yourself a hoodie. Get them while they last. They're not going to be around much longer. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are still available. You can be seeing some of the same benefits as all of our sponsors here, like Vintco, Motion Pro, Full Circle Racing, and all the rest, okay? There's a reason why these banners have been up here for a year now. It's because the advertising works. It works because people like you share the show, they watch it in reruns, they look at it on YouTube, and it's just all over the place. With so many people sharing it, we're reaching at least 20,000 people a week. This would be a really great opportunity for me to put something together for you to fit your budget, okay? Like I've done for Mark Farriester, like I've done for Elin Golan from Golan Products, okay? They had a little bit of a tight budget, but they wanted to be on the show, and they're seeing results. They're seeing results. Sunrise Vapor Blasting just renewed their sponsorship. They're going to be on for another 3 months. What does that tell you? Get a hold of me. I'll put something together for you. By the way, before I thank the viewers and the show is over, I just want to tell everybody that last week I announced that Tony Divino had a heart attack. I spoke to Tony. He's out of the hospital. He's doing great. If you're a friend of Tony's, get a hold of him. And Mark Hildebrand is just getting better by leaps and bounds. He's going to be getting out of the hospital by June 17th. He's doing wonderful. I spoke to him on the phone yesterday, too. Thanks for all your prayers for both of those guys. Now I want to thank all the viewers for watching Vintage Motocross Q&A tonight. Don't forget, there is not an interview this week at Vintage Motocross Radio, but there will be one in 2 weeks where my guest will be Gene Woods. Don't forget to keep sharing the show. Congratulations to the winner of tonight's random share giveaway. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Gino! Gino! He's getting difficult to work with. Gino! Oh, you get... Come here, boy. Come on. Gino, come on. No, come on, Gene. I need a new ball. I may have to get a new What's wrong with you? You don't want to